Is that time of the season when Elon gets himself in trouble with his tweeting? I don't know. There is a possibility, but things have been going so well. He has settled with SEC with some certain rules that he now has to abide by, which I thought was good for both sides. And his tweeting was kind of fun lately. I don't know if you would agree, but it was just kind of like memes and different things, and just I thought it was pretty good. I kind of enjoyed it. What he tweeted earlier yesterday, I think might get him in trouble in a couple of different ways. So let me tell you what that tweet was, and also what kind of trouble I think he can get into. I don't think too much trouble, but I think he might have not. I would have preferred that he might have not sent it out. So I'll tell you all about it coming up next. Taking over the world, electrifying the world, E4 Electric. Welcome to E4 Electric, your number one source of unbiased electric car news. If this is your first time here, go ahead and click on that subscribe button so you don't miss anything moving forward. Okay, so as you know, and this is a quick background, right? So all of these wars with SEC since that 420 tweet have all kind of came down as they've agreed to quite a few rules which Elon kind of have to check with in terms of when he sends out tweets. And if it falls in one of those categories, he needs to go and check with his attorneys to make sure that this type of tweet does not mislead potential investors or current investors and change the price of the stock one way or another. Again, I think it's a good thing for everybody. And so you would have thought that would have kind of settled everything. But this is what he sent out today. So you be the judge. But I think there's a couple of different problems with that tweet. All right. So the tweet is this. He's talking about basically that LA to New York trip on fully autopilot that he kind of promised everybody a couple of years ago. I mean, obviously, autopilot had quite a few issues and it was behind for a long time, even behind the Autopilot 1 that was created by Mobileye that's now owned by Intel. Last year, in the middle of last year, they finally kind of caught up. And this year, they really made a big leap in autopilot advances. And I really actually think there's quite a few amazing things that they've done. But I have other videos about it, and I'm sure you know how I feel about it. I'm excited about it. Okay, so about this trip, he basically said, that not only they're going to do it this year, that anybody who has the full self-driving feature in their Teslas will be able to do it as well. And that's what he said. Okay, now here are the two problems with it. One is kind of more of a problem with, I think, just generally with the community. I feel like he's been actually staying away from a lot of kind of crazy promises. I think he kind of been more realistic. More things have been delivered on time or within a reasonable timeline. So I think that might be one of the issues. And another one, I believe they might be violating one of those ACC rules. So let's take one of them at a time. Before I go into them, let me remind you that this video and this channel is sponsored by Byton. Check out the all-electric M-Byte, the all-electric SUV coming to the US and Europe at the end of next year, starting at only $45,000. Over 50,000 reservations have been made around the world. You should be on that list as well. If you're not, why not? $0 in about 30 to 60 seconds of your time. So go to the description of this video and get your reservation as well. Okay, so as far as the promises, here's the thing. Even if the software will allow for a Tesla to be able to go from Los Angeles to New York fully autonomous, I don't see how the regulations in all of those states that the car will have to be going through would actually allow that. That's quite a big leap for regulations to allow a self-driving car to go through the stoplights, and a lot of work has to be done. And I don't think it's reasonable to assume that regulators will allow that by the end of the year. Now, I'm actually pretty confident that Tesla will be able to get the software correctly for that. The question is, will they be able to replace all of the computers, like they said, for those who have bought the full self-driving feature? But let's say they could. Okay, I think that's also a possibility. But they really, Elon cannot guarantee what regulators will or will not do. So that's one thing. Secondly, is like, what is the trip from LA to New York? Is that where you just kind of drop the car off on 405 in LA and just pick it up, on the freeway in the middle of New York, whatever the freeway is actually going going through New York? Sorry, I don't know, never been there. Or and we're talking about, having the car drive out of the garage, get on a bunch of streets, and then get on the freeway, and then in the middle of the trip, stop by a hotel because the person who's driving is probably need to sleep because that's a pretty long trip, and then get back on the freeway, and then, get to New York and park at someone's apartment, right? Like, that's a whole different kind of a story rather than just kind of a freeway driving all the way through, because that probably can happen even now, right? So that needs to be obviously clarified, and I think the whole point is that yes, it will go through stoplights and stop signs and turns and in cities and so forth, and that's where regulators will have to kind of approve that. And I just not sure if how Elon can be that sure that they really will. So there's no reason to make that promise. We all know that's where it's going. We all know they've made really good advances. I would just be quiet about it. I would just like announce it once it's ready, once it's rolling out. I think that's the good time about that's good timing. But once again, it's a self-inflicted deadline that may not be met for not even your fault. Like, it's again this government, they're not on your schedule at all. So I just didn't think that tweet really needed to be sent. And I think once again some critics might get on his butt about it, including me, by the way. Yeah, I totally will, because again, I promises, he really needs to learn how to keep his promises, at least be within reason. But here's the second one. And the second one, here's one of the rules that SEC settlement dictated to him, in which case he needs to check with his attorney. And it's this one. Basically, it says projection, forecast, or estimate numbers regarding the company's business that have not been previously published in official guidance. This technically can fall under that. Right? This is a projection, forecast, and an estimate, and the number, basically, and the number is all full self-driving cars. Tesla cars will be able to do this by the end of the year. I think that's where the problem might be. And I don't think he checked with his attorneys, because I'm assuming his attorneys would have told him what I'm telling him. It's like, hey, you can't guarantee this because we're at the mercy of regulators and they're not very fast. So do you think now? I don't think he's actually going to get in real trouble. I think this is just too light, and they just went through all this drama, and obviously the judge didn't even want to make a ruling. They kind of wanted them to figure this out between themselves. But I do see somewhere behind the scenes, SEC attorney calling Tesla and going like, guys, come on, we just went over this. Can you guys please not, rock the boat, especially right now? Can you just literally behave yourselves a little bit, okay? All right, thank you, love you, bye. That's how SEC, I think, in my mind, ends all of their calls. Anyway, so I think that might still happen. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think that this might be violating this part of the agreement, or do you think this part of the agreement only is talking about the financial numbers and forecasts and so forth? Or do you think, it is also about the products? Because I think that's one of the things SEC has been also had a problem with is the projection of the products, the number of products that can have a feature or so. I don't know. I'm just saying it could be an issue. I hope it's not, because to be honest with you, I'm really tired of making these videos. Probably like you are maybe tired of watching those videos about all this SEC, back and forth and filings and rebuttals and all. I mean, it's kind of fun for me. I like that. But I don't think you guys really digging it too much. So hopefully that's not the thing. At the same time, another big goal that, hopefully they'll achieve. I think it would be pretty cool that by the end of this year, before 2020, a Tesla and an electric car, or any car, can make a trip from LA to New York like this by itself. I mean, that would be a huge deal. I hope it happens for many different reasons. But let me know. Do you think this is going to happen? And do you think for it to be a legitimate thing, the car really needs to be going around the different stoplights and so forth? By the way, don't forget to get on our VIP list. Some exclusive stories and deals coming up. It's free, so go to eforelectric.com/VIP. All right, guys, let me hear it and let's see what happens. Other than that, see you next time, and remember to stay charged.